Today I want to challenge something almost everyone believes. Procrastination is not a character flaw. It's not laziness. And it's certainly not a lack of discipline. Let's just play with this for a moment. What if procrastination is a gift? What if it's actually a signal? And if you understand the signal, it becomes a gift you can use. Let's start with something foundational. In 1957, Leon Festinger introduced the concept of cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is the psychological tension that arises when there's a conflict between what we believe and how we behave. If you believe you value health but you skip workouts, tension appears. If you believe you're honest but avoid difficult conversations, tension appears. And if you believe you are disciplined but delay important work, tension appears. That discomfort is not random. It's actually structural within you. And here's the principle. You cannot consistently maintain a behavior that is in conflict with your core beliefs and values about who you are. Not occasionally, not long-term, not sustainably. And those core beliefs and values are unconscious. And this is where procrastination becomes fascinating. Because when you say something like what follows, I want to become this new version of myself, you are declaring an identity shift. And you are also saying that to achieve that identity shift, you're going to have to engage in new behaviors. But identity is not conscious. Beliefs are largely unconscious, as I've said. Values are largely unconscious. Your conscious mind says, I'm going to work out. I'm going to write the book. I'm going to grow the business. I'm going to have that difficult conversation with Billy. But your unconscious mind, the system that stores and enacts beliefs and values, asks a different question. Does this behavior align with who I believe I am? And the answer is no. And then tension appears. That tension is cognitive dissonance. And procrastination steps in to protect you from the discomfort of that tension. Procrastination is not avoidance of the work, not at all. It's avoidance of identity conflict. Think about that just for a moment. And let me say it again. Procrastination is not avoidance of effort. What if it's avoidance of the dissonance? Your nervous system prefers coherence over achievement. It prefers internal congruence over external success because congruence feels safe. Incongruence feels massively destabilizing. If your internal belief is, I'm not someone who follows through, then every act of disciplined follow-through creates friction. Now, if your internal belief is, I'm not athletic, then consistent athletic training feels psychologically abrasive. If your internal belief is something like, I'm not worthy of success, then sustained effort toward success creates unconscious resistance. Nobody wants that. And so you delay. Not because you lack motivation, not because you lack the vision, but because your system is protecting you from your current identity structure, which is formed or informed by beliefs and values. Cognitive dissonance research has shown for decades that when there is a conflict between belief and behavior, we either change the behavior or we adjust the belief to reduce the tension. Most people lack the skills to deal with the belief. Most people attempt behavior change without identity change. And that creates chronic procrastination. Put up your hands if you understand this. The more you push behavior without updating your belief structure, your value hierarchy, the stronger the resistance becomes. And this is why New Year's resolutions collapse. This is why business plans stall. And this is why personal transformation feels harder than it should be. Because you're attempting a behavioral expansion on top of an outdated identity architecture. Let me say that again. You're attempting a behavioral expansion on top of an outdated identity architecture. And your system says, this is not who we are. Not doing it. Not going there. Nope. So procrastination appears as the regulator. It reduces the discomfort of the dissonance. It buys you psychological space and safety. And it preserves the coherence. And that is a gift. The gift is awareness. Procrastination is actually diagnostic. So instead of asking, how do I become more disciplined, which is literally a negative question about yourself, a more powerful question might be, what belief about myself makes this behavior feel incongruent? And instead of beating yourself up and potentially asking, why am I so lazy? You might ask, what identity am I protecting? Because once identity shifts, new behaviors to get to who you want to be become natural. When someone truly believes, I am an athlete, training is not effortful. It's congruent and purposeful. When someone truly believes, I am a writer, what I write is worthy of being read, writing's not forced. It's aligned, it flows. When someone truly believes, I am someone who keeps commitments, follow through is not heroic, it's just consistent. You cannot sustainably act in ways that violate who you believe you are. But you can update who you believe you are, and that's where real transformation occurs. Now that's the realm of NLP and the work we do. Now here is the deeper layer. Beliefs are not abstract philosophy. They actually have a decision point. You cannot believe anything you have not decided to believe. And these beliefs are encoded patterns in your nervous system operated by your unconscious mind. Repeated language becomes repeated thought, and repeated thought becomes a patterned response. Pattern response becomes identity. Lisa Feldman Barrett speaks about this clearly in her book, How Emotions Are Made. The unconscious mind does not respond to intention. It responds to repetition and emotional significance. So if procrastination keeps appearing, it's pointing towards an identity incongruence that you've not yet reconciled. And that identity incongruence is grounded, influenced, informed by your beliefs and values. This is not a discipline problem. It's a belief and value integration problem. When the conscious goal and the unconscious identity align, boy, you get momentum. When values are clarified and updated, behavior stabilizes. My trauma clients all need to update their values once their traumas are resolved. When identity evolves, your effort to accomplish any unit goes down. The goal is not to eliminate procrastination through force. The goal is to listen to it. Procrastination is the early warning system for cognitive dissonance. Cognitive dissonance is a signal that identity evolution is required. So if you feel stuck, you're not broken. You're protecting coherence. The question is not, how do I push harder? The question is, wait for it, who do I believe I am? Now, who must I become internally for this new behavior to feel natural? These are critical, pivotal questions. Once those two align, action becomes obvious, and that, right there, in that moment, is the gift.